I'm using Excel 2010 and I'm using the CPS wage data set. What we're going to do is use filters to recode the occupation variable. You might notice that I have a different number of tabs, or perhaps my tabs are named differently than what you have in your file, and that really doesn't matter. I just wanted to show you that on the description of data tab, this is where we have shown how occupation was originally coded. And you'll see that it was coded 1 for other, 2 for management, 3 for sales, and so on. We've talked in the lecture notes about how you can't take data that does not have order to it and code it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because when you code something 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and you model with it, there's going to be an assumption that 4 is greater than 3 and 3 is greater than 1. And in this data set, we can't say that service is more, it's greater than management, even though service is coded as a 5 and management is coded as a 2. These occupations don't have any order to them, so they can't be coded as ordinal data, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to correct that in the data set. I'm going to go into where the data is, and the first thing I want to do is I want to insert 5 columns. So I'm going to highlight J through N, and I'm going to right click and insert columns. The reason I wanted to do that is because we're adding 5 new variables. We're adding a variable called management, sales, clerical, service, and professional. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to have those new variables that we're adding. I wanted them to be right next to occupation, which is the variable that we're recoding. Now you might recall from the description of data that we actually had 6 categories for occupation. We had something called an other. I've elected to make other the default, to code this into 5 new variables. You could have chosen to code this into 6 new variables. But we're going to make management, sales, clerical, service, and professional our variables. If you're not any of those things, then the default is going to be other. We're going to start filtering, so you want to sit in the first row. It doesn't matter what column you're in, but you want to sit in the first row. From the Home tab, you're going to come over and choose Filter. I'm going to hit the little down arrow next to Sort and Filter, and then I'm choosing Filter as the option. You'll notice that what that does is it puts little down arrows next to all of our column headings. When we were done working with Filter, we would turn it off exactly the same way. So when you turn it off, the little down arrows have disappeared. Let's go back into Filter. I'm going to hit the down arrow next to occupation, and you'll see that we have this data coded in this column as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. What I want to do is I want to look at those people who were coded as management. So why don't we go back and look at our description of the data just for a second. You'll notice that people who are management are coded 2. So I'm going to hit the down arrow. I'm going to turn off the select all. I only want to have the 2 selected. I'm going to click OK. What you'll notice over on the left is that we still have row number 1, and then the next row that we have jumps all the way to 213 and 214 and so on. It hasn't deleted rows 2 through 212. It's just not showing it to us now. It's hidden them because we are only filtering for those people that were coded with an occupation of 2. You'll notice that these headings are in blue over here. That's also to remind you that you are filtering. So when we have occupation coded to 2, that means that this person is in management. We want the management to get a 1. So a 1 typically indicates that yes, someone has that particular variable. They're going to be a 0 for sales, a 0 for clerical, a 0 for service, and a 0 for professional. So we have recoded occupation 2 into the 1 for management. Now I can take this and I can, using this fill handle, I can copy it down for everything else that's on this filtered list. I'm going to go back to the top, I'm going to click the filter next to occupation, and I'm going to select all. So you'll notice that I have nothing filled in here in row number 2. That's because this person is a 6. This person is coded as a professional. If we down arrowed until we got to, whoops, sorry, I went too far on you there, into the 200s where I had people coded as a 2 for management, you'll notice that we do have that dummy coding that we just did. I'm going to go to the home position, which is A1. And I'm ready to code the next person. So we have sales coded as a 3. I'm going to go to occupation. I'm going to turn off the select all. I'm going to click on 3. I want to get all of those people who said they are in sales. They're not in management. They are in sales. They're not clerical, not service, not professional. So I'm going to take that coding and I want to copy it down for all of the people that are originally coded as a 3 as being in sales. I'm going to go to occupation. I'm going to go back and get everyone. All right, we're going to continue. So I'm going to go to occupation. This time I want to get people that are the 4. They were coded as being clerical. They're not management, they're not sales, they are clerical, they're not service, and they're not professional. We're going to take that, we're going to copy it down for everyone that was initially coded as a 4 as being clerical. I'm going to go back to the top. I'm going to get everyone again. Just to save us some time in the video, I would continue to do this. People that were coded as a 5, they are in service, so they would get a 1 in the service column. People who were coded as 6 are professional, so they would get a 0 in all of the other columns, but a 1 in the professional column. I wanted to talk, though, about what we should do with the people who were originally coded as a 1. A 1 meant that they were other. The way that we're choosing to show other is you're not management, you're not sales, you're not clerical, you're not service, and you're not professional. So if you're a 0 in everything, we're going to interpret that the default as being that you are in the other category. So again, we would take this and we would copy it down for everyone who was coded a 1 as being other. Let me go back and get everyone who was in occupation. We haven't filled in the 5s and we haven't filled in the 6s, but I don't think I need to be redundant and keep demonstrating that. I did just want to talk about a couple other things in filters. Certainly there are other ways that you could have chosen to recode this data. You could have sorted the data and recoded it. You could do a find and replace. You could do an if or a VLOOKUP. It doesn't really matter to me how you choose to recode the data. I elected to show you how to do it using filters because I think filters might be useful to you later on in the projects and in your work. It's a quick way of being able to look at what data you have. So for example, if we go to the union variable for a minute, and I click the down arrow next to union, we'll see that we have things coded as a 0, you're not in a union, or a 1, you are in a union. If I'm interested in how many people are in a union, I'm going to click off the 1, and I'm going to hit OK. You'll notice at the bottom right-hand side that Excel is going to give you a quick summary. 96 out of the 534 records that we have are for people that are coded as a 1. They're coded as being in a union. You can also use it on a continuous variable. Let's try experience for a second. It's giving us the option for 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. It's giving us every value that is reflected in the data. So you'll notice I was trying to look for where data was skipped perhaps, but maybe we have, there we go. We had someone that reported 49 years of experience, and we had someone who reported, at least one person, that reported 54 years of experience. The reason 50 and 51 and 52 aren't on this list is because those values aren't in this data set. What if we were interested in people that had experience over a certain level? You could start, clicking off multiple, options here, or you could use the number filter. So we could look for people that have greater than or less than 10 years of experience. And that would filter out, rather than clicking multiple checkboxes off, it would allow us to filter within a range. You always want to make sure that you are going back to selecting all of your data. Let me take you out of that just for a second. You can see that we have just down arrows next to union, and we have just down arrows next to occupation, but that experience, instead of a down arrow, it has a picture of a filter. That's kind of visually trying to remind you that you currently have a filter on for experience. When we turn that filter off, when we go back and select all of the data, you'll notice that it just looks like a down arrow now. You do want to be careful that you're not leaving filters turned on and forgetting about it, because you can filter on multiple columns. If I wanted to filter on women that were in a union that had wages, I'm going to say less than $15. So I just wanted to, kind of let you know that you want to be careful that you don't have one filter on and you forget to turn it off when you start filtering on something else. So we're going to go back and select all of them. And when you're done with working with filters, you're just going to click on Filters on the main menu and turn it off altogether.